Hello, everybody. My name is Doug Fine, and I'm the principal at FINED Performance Solutions. And this is our Defined Engagement webcast podcast. And today I have as my guest Pauline Crawford. And she is known as the ambassador of magical conversations. And I'm delighted to have you today, Pauline. Thank you so much for joining me.
I'm absolutely delighted to be here, Doug. This is very magical.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. I'm very interested in hearing what you do and about you. And this interview is kind of going to be rapid fire with 7 questions that I ask everybody. And but first of all, is it okay if I read your bio to let people get to know you a little bit?
Yes, please.
Okay. So Pauline is known as the ambassador of magical conversations. She's a gender dynamics expert, engaging men and women in conversations that matter and that add value to each other and the best outcomes in business and life. She's an author, an international speaker, a change maker, an educator, an entrepreneur, an image consultant, and Pauline is the designer of the Crawford Gender Dynamics Map and the Magical Conversations Formula. She has a passion to help people be the best and value the way they live their lives together and with each other. So again, my great pleasure to welcome you to the Defined Engagement webcast. Thank you, Pauline.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here.
Good. All right, so we're going to start with these rapid fire questions here and talk a little bit really about your business and who you like to work with and what you do for them and problems you solve. So the first question is who do you work best with, Pauline, and who are your ideal clients?
Well, I work best with people who are open-minded and willing to transform and change. Now, my ideal client is somebody probably between 35 and 55 who is in business. They're executive level, or they're getting to that level. They may run their own business or be inside an organization, but they do have a sense that things are changing and that things are possible, but maybe they don't know how. So they could be male or female, but most likely to be a leader of a team or a department or in charge of other people.
Okay, somebody that's leading other people.
Yeah.
Okay. Do they contact you directly for your help, or do you get contracted by companies that want your help with the people that work for them, leaders that work for them?
It can be both.
Mm-hmm.
In over the 30 years that I've worked in this arena, my client has always been the company.
I see.
But the individual that I work with is coming to them through the company.
Okay.
But now I do actually work with individuals as well if they have problems to solve.
Wonderful, wonderful. And by the way, I forgot to mention, and because you are you have humility, you didn't mention that you have a PhD also. So this is Dr. Pauline Crawford, ladies and gentlemen. So this I need to up my game because here I'm talking to a PhD. So what did you study for your PhD?
Well, the study actually was of people and the workplace culture. It was in Great Britain because I'm British. So my research was done with UK organizations and companies. And the reason I say that is half of the research was public sector, one half was private sector. But I was looking at how do people work together in terms of wellness, which was healthy high performance. So if you like, the people element of business, how can we measure how people are feeling and thinking and behaving? And That was very interesting, very interesting.
I think the fact that you mentioned wellness, was wellness actually a nomenclature that you used in your study 30 years ago, that word?
Well, yes, and in fact, this research was done in the early 2000s, so halfway through my career. So this was 2004-05. And one of the challenges was that people weren't sure what wellness was, because it wasn't necessarily well-being. It was, and I used to describe it as was well behavior. So you can have unwell behavior, i.e. toxic behavior,
Uh-huh.
and you could have well behavior. So the aspects I was looking at was how balanced are you, how connected are you, how purposeful are you, and how can you perform? And it was all about the degree of being well-minded, well-hearted,
Okay. Welcome.
well-functioning. So obviously that was the buy-in to the company.
Yes, and wellness has taken on, I would think, like a completely different meaning now when we think of it in a business context.
And it's interesting because, yeah, and so it's always a challenge. I have the same challenge with the word gender and gender dynamics. But I like to challenge the status quo, so that's a good thing.
Well, so do I. How about the next question being, what's the problem that you like to help these people solve?
The main crux of it is the person at ease with relationships and conversation and communication, or are they not?
Mm-hmm.
So we spend a lot of time at work and at home with people. And a lot of people believe that there are difficult people out there. Now, I have a different cut on that. I think there are no difficult people, but there are difficult situations.
Mm-hmm.
So because we have a different point of view, we run up against something. So mostly in the workplace, it's about how does that lead to good performance? So if you like, the output is good performance, but the issue is relating to other people. Do I relate to my team, to my boss, to who's that awkward person who always comes in and I don't know, they just don't get me? All those things come up. So I talk about solving difficult conversations.
Okay.
And helping people to understand, the magic of the conversation.
I have a training background, education training background, doing leadership development, employee development. And I always, somewhere along the way, maybe like 10 years into my career, I realized, those training courses, like dealing with difficult people, however you say it, they always, people go because they believe they have all these difficult people around them and they can't tolerate them and all this. So how are we going to fix these difficult people? But it inevitably turns very quickly on how do you deal with yourself, and why are you reacting so strongly or negatively to these different types of people. It's never, absolutely. You don't walk away going, I know how to deal with difficult people now. It's always like, I need to deal with myself differently. It's magical. That's magical, to get people to those.
Well, it is magical. And the key is, it's all about valuing differences.
Yes.
If I've got a different view to you, or I'm anyway different to you, then I may find dealing with you difficult because it's not the same as me. Yes. But the value is actually in understanding that the differences are the magic that come together to make the mix of life.
Yes.
It's like baking a cake. You don't put the same ingredients in to bake a Victoria sponge to a sponge, to a fruit cake. You put different things in and you make sure the mix is right. And that's the same with people.
Wonderful. So talk to me a little bit about the common mistakes. Let's say they don't even know about you. They don't know that you could come in and help them. So what are some, before you arrive, what are some of the mistakes they've made in trying to solve this issue of communication and relationships and connections in a workplace where people have well-being because of the relationships they have? What do they try to do without you?
I think the main thing is they're either trying to control or they're trying to get away from. So when you've got a good relationship, whoever that's with, you love that. So you go to that person, you'll always go and work with them. You'll spend spare time at the coffee machine with them. But it's coming up against somebody. Now, if that person is in authority, we sometimes might be fearful, and so we're downplaying our ability to communicate, whereas the other person maybe just wants a simple validation. And if we go in and we're doing the fear control, which can be upwards and downwards, it's not necessarily always the person in authority, then we're doing a lot of telling. Well, I told them what I needed, and they're just not doing it. Well, did they hear you? So there's a misunderstanding before there's a miscommunication. And it's either fearful or, if you like, fear or love. It's either controlling or trying to get away from the conflict. So a lot of people are conflict averse.
Okay, so that's typically sometimes how they're making the mistakes either by attempting to control or withdrawing from the difficulty.
Withdrawing, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the whole thing about a relationship is a connection. So if I don't have a connection, I see it as difficult because maybe I've got to work with this person. And so I just do the work, but I don't have a connection. And then somebody else I have a connection with and I work with, and it goes, oh, yeah, that's easy.
I've been in human resources in my career too, and sometimes you're coaching people and it's usually an employee, maybe. It could be a manager that says, then I just won't talk to them. I'll just won't talk to them anymore. And by the way, typically my response is, well, that's not an option because either you work for them or they work for you. So you can't cut yourself off from them. You got to figure something out. But it's amazing that people just believe in a workplace, well, we should be able to survive without talking to each other.
I know. And the other mistake we make is that we always interpret what somebody's saying from our point of view. And actually it's coming from them. So it's not about just letting their rule be the rule, but it's about understanding that what they said and what I said is not necessarily heard in the same way by each party, especially when there's no connection and the life is tense. We get the tone, we go, oh, I think he said that and he's putting me down, and you go, no, he may just be saying, I'll give you a classic example.
Sure.
Women often say to me, because I study men and women often say to me, men don't listen to me. And I put an idea forward, and then suddenly another man picks it up and he makes it his own. And I actually mentioned it in the first place. Now, I think most of the time that's not deliberate. It's just that she has said it in a way that he hasn't heard. The group of men have not heard it in the way a man says it, and it literally, like tuning in a radio, it's fuzzy. And they go, oh, I don't like that station, I'll turn the radio off.
Wow. Dynamics, boy, people dynamics, and you've been in it for your whole career. It's beautiful that you have these answers. You know what I mean? You have a knowledge base and experience. You can help people with these common work relationship problems and issues. Common. Yes. Okay, so
and there are ways to help them.
Absolutely, that's why you're here. That's your purpose, huh?
Yes.
What is something that the audience could implement today, or let's say it's late in the day, let's say tomorrow morning, that will make a difference based on what you could tell them right now? Okay, well, one of the key things is to, as I said just now, is to realize that everybody's coming at what appears to be the same topic, but from a different perspective. Now, when you've got a disconnect with somebody that you're working with, it's looking for something that could connect you, which isn't immediately emotional to you as a person. So let me give you an example of that. I had a client who was a male. He was working for a female head of school, and he was head of department. And he said, we just don't vibe. And there was a lot of difference in their personalities. But what I suggested to him in the end, I said, what have you got that's common? And he actually looked a bit confused, but I said, well, I'm assuming, let me make a suggestion, that you're both passionate about education. Oh, yes. And suddenly this light bulb went on. And I said, so whether or not you're different, you can talk about that subject and it will form a bond. Then you can manage the rest. So whether she thinks you should be more tough or you think she should be more gentle or whatever it is, your commonality is that you're both passionate about education and how kids will develop for the future. So he went away and did that, and he formed a bond and he managed the rest. So the great thing about what I do is I help people to manage a relationship without having the other person in the room. Yes. And that's magic. Yes. Yes, you're behind the scenes actually coaching. You are
Yeah,
obviously a human development coach in your own
yeah.
way. Yeah.
But
So
it's
yeah,
the
go ahead.
magic is in the magic is in the reframing. So you're
Yes.
giving them a possibility, and they
Yeah.
have to test it out.
Yeah. Wonderful. From all your experience, now you have a bunch. What's the most valuable free tip you can give?
I think the most valuable free trip is to really honor the person that you're talking to.
Mm.
Now that might sound strange, but I certainly find with a lot of people, they don't know how to approve somebody else. Now I don't mean being over gratuitous or anything, but just literally when somebody is talking to you, have the presence to honor that they're speaking. You may not agree with them, and you may say, I'm not sure I agree with you, but I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah.
That's honoring them, and it's actually respecting them. So we can then go to another topic because we've respected them that maybe is a bit more um, contentious.
Mm-hmm.
So it it's saying, "Gosh, yes, I hear that's who you are, and you said that." In my experience, I'd like to share this. So by using the right words, you're creating a bridge. So
Mm-hmm.
just think about every communication and conversation. If it is communication into a conversation, it has to be two ways. Some
Yes.
communication can just be one way, but if there's a conversation, it's an energy between the two of you. It may be transactional, it may be just two or three sentences, that's fine. But if it's more than that, if it's going to be transformational, it's about valuing the other person so that they value you. And this is what I call a value creation cycle. But don't put the other person down and don't put yourself down.
Right. I hope I can come back to a question when we do our long form, because and maybe you could remember this because I might forget. But
Yeah.
have you ever dealt with a person that kind of doesn't have that value, appreciative value, the ability at this point in their life that they really understand what respect and valuing another person because they are another person. They haven't learned that in one way or another. So do you understand? I want to come
Yes.
back to that. Like, have you ever had someone
Yes.
so clueless that they don't even have a modicum of just baseline respect for the other person?
I have. And I think that the caveat there is to keep maintaining that, humanity, that humanity is here to be in a loving state, that we are all wanting to be here, but some people have more blocks and barriers around them than others. And that our graciousness is, as an enlightened people, is to value that even when they don't.
I'm hearing that you are going to do your very best to model
Yes,
for them your
yes.
appreciation of them, even
Uh,
even though they're like kind of miles away from the kind of person you are.
well, that's right. And it's also uh, not to be Mother Teresa to all of them, but and I love her
Mm-hmm.
to pieces, but also be able to separate that. I love this statement that what everybody, you included, thinks of me is none of my business.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being true to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
not rejecting somebody, but not necessarily holding on to them.
Right. Or giving their opinion so much weight that you can't make it through the next day, or that kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah. All right,
that's
couple
right.
more questions. This is where you get to give a little bit of a commercial, Pauline. How can people learn more about you and your work? And do you have any kind of free resource that you'd be willing to give our viewers and our listeners?
Well, I mainly will be found on LinkedIn. That's my
Okay.
favorite place to be. Dr. Pauline Crawford there. I don't use the OMSA, but I'm also on Facebook and on Twitter. I do have several websites, but missmagicalconversations.com is one, and Gender Dynamics DNA is another. But I am setting up my US company as of January the 1st, which is Corporate Heart International. I have that one in the UK, but I need to have a separate
Wonderful
company here because I'm now in America, even though I'm British.
Yes.
But my freebie is that I'm launching over the next 3 weeks some free Zoom sessions, 3 dates for women and 1 for men. And I hope you're going to join the men's
I hope
one,
I hope I do too.
Is to come on and share your views about, from your gender point of view, how the world is approaching men and women in business. So those are free sessions, and I can send you the links. People can just join in. It's a Zoom link, come on board. And the only caveat is you need to be positive.
Okay. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's my Christmas gift to everybody.
That's awesome. So
to come and find out more.
Yeah. Pauline, the last words are yours.
Last words. My vision for the world is that we can approach harmony. So hashtag World Harmony is a favorite of mine, but my new favorite is hashtag Create Our Future Together. And what I mean by that is men and women, but also men and women of different generations, different races, different cultures, different sexual orientations, the whole embraced. And my Corporate Heart gender dynamics map embraces everybody. So my vision is that Corporate Heart International will be the go-to company for helping men and women to run our new economy, our new society together.
Beautiful. Pauline, this has been a wonderful, wonderful time together with you. Thank you so much for everything you shared. And I'm looking forward to doing a long form interview with you too. So thank you again. Why don't you one last time talk about your website that's going to arise very, very soon.
Okay, there's www.missmagicalconversations.com and then www.genderdynamicsdna.com, and then soon will be corporateheartinternational.com.
Corporateheartinternational.com. Yes, thank you.
Watch that space. That is the name for 2020.
And no one can have it. You got it, right? Thank you, Pauline, and I'll see you down the road. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doug. It's been a pleasure.
It has. Take care. Hey, it's Doug Fine again. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in to this Defined Engagement webcast. I'm in Augusta, Georgia, but I can travel anywhere to help your company amp up its engagement and motivate leadership to be just more effective with their people. So don't hesitate to get in touch with me. I can be reached at www.dougjfine.com or email me at doug@dougjfine.com, and we'll have a conversation, and it could lead to a partnership. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Take care.